Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jackson.
On Top Notch Sports. And today we're going to be going over the New York Jets free agency frenzy, where we're going to discuss what we think that this team's going to do in free agency. Wow. It's almost like the title explains what this video is going to be about. But we're also going to hop into maybe a little bit about what we think that they're going to do this offseason just in general, and maybe a little bit into the draft. So let's hop right into this thing. Again, look, you got the New York Jets, right? Question mark around Sam Darnold, Sam the man Darnold. Do you keep him? Do you not keep him? I know Jets fans are kind of iffy on him. Some think that he still has a lot of talent. Maybe the talent around him has failed him, which is very possible. And the coaching, right? I mean, a lot of people aren't fans of Adam Gase, so that could be a real possibility. Maybe they hold on to Sam. They choose to rock out with Sam, take a really good draft pick in the first round, or they can trade down, maybe get one of the better players. Like maybe I'll present to you guys in a little bit moving on from here, but let's hop right into it, where we're going to discuss what we think they're going to do this free agency. So Jackson, right away, let's go right out of the shenanigans. They got about $70 million to work with. What do you think that they're going to really try to attack this free agency?
Well, first things first, I think this team needs to go out and re-sign Marcus May, whether it's via the franchise tag, whether they go give him a big contract. I think that should be this front office's first move they do this offseason. And I think the second thing they should do is they need to go out and whoever their quarterback is, whether it's Sam Darnold or whoever they go out and draft possibly, they need to go get that guy a weapon, whether it's Juju Smith-Schuster, Corey Davis, Will Fuller, any of those guys, because there's a lot of solid wide receivers out in free agency this year. So I think that should be one of their guys they should go and get right there. They definitely should go get a wide receiver. And also, I think they should probably address some offensive line in free agency as well. There isn't a lot of guys out there this year for offensive line. There are some names out there, and the seeing that this Jets team has $70 million to spend, I think they can definitely go out and snag one of those guys. But yeah, I think those are kind of the three needs I would just go out and address in free agency would be going out and re-signing Marcus May, go get a receiver, and maybe go get some offensive line help.
Absolutely. And I think you summed it up pretty good, but let me go forward here. Look, I'll be honest with you. More and more I watch and I do my scouting, I'm falling more and more in love with Zach Wilson.
I told you.
He's looking pretty dang good at that number 2 spot.
I told you.
I would like to potentially bring him in here, but again, you don't want to rush the quarterback position. So here's the number one thing you guys can do. Let's completely forget about free agency, because your coaching staff already needs to know this. Or we move him with or without Sam Darnold. And once you make that decision, I'm going to give you 2 things that I believe that you guys should do. If you move with Sam Darnold, Jackson's 100% correct. I think you guys go out, you get a receiver in free agency. Maybe a Corey Davis, maybe a Will Fuller, maybe, as Jackson said before, I'm pretty sure you mentioned Juju Smith-Schuster. Those are all pretty dang good names, right? You need to add a receiver for Sam Darnold if that's the route you go. If it's not the route you go, you still need a receiver. So that's not where I'm going to differentiate. I think that you need to get a receiver in free agency. Although I do think that Denzel Mims is a phenomenal. Mark my words right here, Jets fans. You guys are not screwing on that draft pick. He was ranked as one of my top receivers in last year's draft. He was my favorite receiver I watched. He's an absolute monster, and you just need to get an offensive line and a quarterback to throw on the ball. I think Sam Darnold could be that guy, but now you got to protect Sam Darnold and give Sam Darnold weapons with a good coach. You got the good coach. You got Mekhi Becton last year. I think Joe Douglas had a hell of a draft. I'm a big fan of this Joe Douglas guy. I think that he might be one of the better GMs in the league. I think that you guys had the best draft last year. I had you and Denver very, very high on my board last year. Both of the highest drafts. So what do you guys got to do? Well, again, if you rock out with Sam Darnold, you got to get someone in free agency, whether it's the 3 wide receivers that we just mentioned or somebody else. But it needs to be somebody good to pair up with Denzel Mims and Jamison Crowder. Okay? Then you got to think about this. We need a tight end. Chris Hernandez, whatever his name is, look, he was supposed to be this good guy, this, that, and the other thing. Maybe he is. Maybe I'm stepping over the line here. But look, if you decide to hold on to Sam, maybe you trade that second-round pick. You trade it down around 5, 6, 7, right around there. Not 5, because that's Cincinnati. but go right around 6-7, and you draft a guy named Kyle Pitts from Florida, the best tight end prospect receiver-wise I've seen in a long time. Can't wait to do more scouting analysis on him, but so far from what I've seen, he's an absolute monster. Get the best for sure locked up pick in this draft in Kyle Pitts, in like the 6th, 7th, 8th overall pick. Maybe you pick up you're going to definitely pick up future draft picks for moving back that far. Let somebody go up and get the quarterback. You get Sam the Man Darnold. You got Denzel Mims on the outside. You get Corey Davis, Will Fuller, or Juju in the slot, whoever the heck you want. You plug them around there. And then you got the guy named Kyle Pitts right here next to Sam the Man Darnold. If you don't choose to go that route, you got Zach Wilson. Well, Zach Wilson's a stud of a quarterback too. I feel like this guy the sky's the limit for him, and I'll go further into him when we get towards those videos. Maybe my opinion will completely change by then when we go into the scouting analysis. But again, Sam the Man, you got Kyle Pitts, maybe Corey Davis on the outside with him. The sky's the limit on offense. The offense is going to be all right, and this is a really deep offensive tackle draft. You can get a right tackle to plug in for whoever your quarterback may be. You should draft the running back. There's a lot of guys that you can go out and get, and we'll mention somebody in a short minute. But right now, let's finish up free agency. So we just mentioned a few names. We said you should probably go in and bring in Marcus May. Absolutely. There's no doubt. He played 99.9% of the snaps last year, played like a stud. He's a veteran leader in that locker room, right? We said maybe you go out, and I think that you personally should probably bring back Brian Poole too. He's a decent corner. Okay, so there's two guys right there that you bring back. Jackson, who else do you think? One of the receivers. One of those receivers, they're going to be asking probably right around $16, $17 million if I had to guess. So you didn't punch them in, and you still got money left over. You still got about 20-ish, $25-ish million. Who else do you guys want to make a splash on? Jackson, any other names that you want to throw out there?
I'm going to pull a name that we said in our salary review video. It's a 1-year prove-it deal. Jadeveon Clowney coming off the edge. This man needs a team. He can go out and prove himself. This man's had a couple of down years. Wasn't really the number 1 overall pick everyone thought he was going to be. He's going to come into New York on a cheap deal. He's going to prove himself. And who knows, maybe he stays in New York after that 1 year and signs long-term, or he goes out somewhere else. But I think Jadeveon Clowney would really boost up that defensive line.
Absolutely. And I mean, that defensive line is pretty solid already. You
Quinn
got
Williams,
and now you add someone like Jadeveon Clowney. Look, can you really go wrong? He thinks in his head his value's up here. But we all know that if you want the contract, he's going to have to shrink this to this, okay? And that means that you guys are probably going to get him on a pretty cheap deal this year. So we projected right around what do we say? An $8 million contract for Jadeveon Clowney. That would be a really nice option for you guys to have another edge rusher on that team with Quinn Williams rushing in the inside. That would be a phenomenal move, in my opinion. A few other guys I'm just going to throw out there randomly. Maybe Carl Lawson, right? Maybe Yannick Ngakoue. Maybe just throwing out some. You guys need to get another edge rusher. It would really complement your secondary, which I think is honestly pretty good. Bryce Hall, I think, was another steal in the draft. I'm a big fan of Bryce Hall. I liked Ashton Davis coming out of the draft. Yeah, Blake Cashman, C.J. Mosley as your linebackers. We bring back Marcus May for your other secondary. You need to get another cornerback too. Maybe we look at some cornerbacks. Maybe you bring in someone like Richard Sherman. You got so much money to spend. And guess who your defensive coordinator, your head coach is? Robert Saleh. I mean, I don't think that's
love that guy.
He is a motivator. I would not be shocked if Richard Sherman wanted to go back and just play for him on a different team. And Sherman's not going to be asking for this crazy contract. I'm projecting around a $7-8 million deal. So let us know what you guys think in the comment section below who you guys would want to bring in free agency. Now let's go back to the draft. Well, here's what I do, okay? And we'll do more mock drafts. But again, either Zach Wilson you're going to take, right? And then you got to move on from Darnold. Or you can keep Darnold, maybe trade down, get Pitts, right? Maybe that even picks you up another first rounder. But let's pretend and say it doesn't pick you up a first rounder. Guess what this team has? A first round pick. You know whose first round pick it is? Seattle's.
Seattle.
Okay? So guess who I think you guys should draft? You guys should go out and get Travis Etienne. If you guys go out and get, let's say you pass on the quarterbacks this year. You pass on Zach Wilson, who I think is a good quarterback, but let's just say you think, you know what? We need to get weapons. Now you go out, you get one of those wide receivers we mentioned from earlier in this video. Corey Davis, Will Fuller, Juju Smith-Schuster. You got Denzel Mims. You got Kyle Pitts. You get Travis Etienne. And guess what? You may have just picked up another first-round pick from a year down the line, maybe a second and a first from a year down from now. Who knows what happens? You pick up another draft pick to build this team in the future. And one thing that Joe Douglas does not do is fail with his draft picks. I love this guy. He's a great drafter. So there you go with that. That's a huge move. And then in the second round, maybe you draft the offensive guard and Wyatt Davis, who can come in and play right away to really bolster up that offensive line. I think that there's so many options for this organization that you guys are rock and roll with. I'm excited. I am really, truly excited. And another guy I want to mention, just one more guy in free agency that you guys can possibly bring in, maybe like a Sheldon Rankins. Defensive tackle, pair him up with Quinnen Williams. You get Jadeveon Clowney, Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins. On the outside, you got Brian Poole and Bryce Hall. You got Ashton Davis and Marcus May, Blake Cashman, and you got CJ Mosley in the middle. You still need another linebacker. Maybe you bring back Neville Hewitt or Hewitt. I don't know how you really say his name. In the inside, you got Wyatt Davis and Mekhi Becton as your two left guard, left tackle. Your right guard is Alex Lewis. Okay, he's pretty solid too. I mean, he's decent. You got Corey Davis on the outside, or maybe you got the other guy in who did you say? Will Fuller. Or maybe instead of those two guys, maybe in the slot, you got somebody by the name of Juju Smith-Schuster. Does he ring the bell? And then you got Jamison Crowder. You got Denzel Mims, like I said, and you got Kyle Pitts, Travis Etienne, and Sam Darnold. Look, if Sam Darnold can't win with that, then you get rid of him. But maybe this is what you got to do. You got to see if he can play good with a new coach, really good weapons around him, young blood, and see what he can do and let him know. And if not, and if you go with Zach Wilson, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm cheering for you Jets fans either way because I'm honestly a fan of this organization. Go ahead. Anything else you want to say?
I want to talk about the second overall pick for a second. There's a lot of options. Like you said, they trade down, they get Kyle Pitts, get more draft capital possibly for the future, or maybe they go get Zach Wilson. I'm going to be honest, Sam Darnold, when he was drafted with the third overall pick back in the day, he was going to fail. This team was built to fail Sam Darnold. And I mean, I've seen this kid make some ridiculous throws that get undershadowed, because he's on the New York Jets. If you get weapons around him, like a Corey Davis, a Kyle Pitts, get some offensive line help, get a stud running back in the backfield. I mean, this kid's got all the potential in the world. He was drafted third overall for a reason. So I think the right move, at least in my opinion, is you go trade down, get a guy like Kyle Pitts, and help Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold's never really had weapons. I mean, his best receiver probably in New York has been Robbie Anderson. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I love this Jets team. They're in a really, really good spot. $70 million to spend this offseason. Just hope they don't screw it up. I don't think they will. Joe Douglas is a smart guy. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what they can do. Like Jackson said, he made a good point. This team, you got it. Me personally, Sam Darnold coming out of that draft was the most NFL ready. Unfortunately, he went to the team that was most un-NFL ready. I mean, the Jets were not going to really win games, and you can't really expect him to look good when the team around him is failing. So what I always say is you never rush a quarterback pick, because if you throw Zach Wilson in there, even though that this team is a better foundation than it once was, let's say that you keep everything where it is right now, Zach Wilson's coming into a lot better of a situation than Sam Darnold did. But did Sam Darnold ever have a situation like this? No. You keep Darnold for one more year. You give him the pieces and see what it looks like. If it looks bad, then you get rid of him. Then he might be a bust. But I don't think that you can throw him out the window and say he's a bust right now. He's made some pretty stupid mistakes, I understand. But again, with all the pressure around you, a terrible offensive line, bad running backs, average receivers, never really had a tight end, what can you expect? And the defense hasn't been good in years either. You got to give this guy a chance, and I think that's what you guys may just be able to do. That's all from us from Top Notch Sports. We had our scouting analysis coming up after this series, then our mock drafts, then our live draft show, then our draft grades, then our coaching grades. Then we're going to go back to debating whether who's going to win the division, who's going to do what. I got a big host for you Jets fans. Let us know what you guys want to do in the comment section below. I'm sure we'll hear a lot from you guys. See you guys soon. Peace. I'm Nick.
I'm Jackson.
Top Notch Sports. See you guys soon. Peace. We are
built better.
See you guys soon. Peace.